Welcome back, everybody, to a new and very fancy series of Rimworld. So, for this series, I sort of looked back at what we've done in the past, and I wanted to sort of come up with a combination of two very particular elements. I know that people love the big mod packs, the crazy mods, the weird little war crimes we get up to, and I know that just from looking at the numbers, the most popular series we've ever done are some of the more hardcore survival-style situations where everything is constant tension, life or death style scenario. So I've sort of come up with what I think is a combination of both. So this pack, this time around, this playthrough, we're going to be playing as a hive of assimilating robots, an assimilator and two of his cybernetic buddies who have just landed on a new planet out in the rim with one goal, and that is to destroy and assimilate all life. Now, we as the player have to build a successful hive, whilst also fending off a ridiculous amount of difficulty that I'll cover in a second. And our end goal for this series will to have a successful colony set up and send the assimilator off planet, be that in the rocket or however ways there might be in this mod pack, and send them on to a new world so they can carry on that cycle, so they can carry on with that mission objective. So there are three big key features that I think is going to make this series completely different to anything else we've ever done in Rimworld, and hopefully fairly unique to this series standing by itself. So the first one is we have randomized and tiered research, which means that we have to hopefully get somewhat lucky. You know, we can't drive our colony too much. We've had many series whereby it's so easy just to meta rushing down the multi-analyzer, rushing down electronics, rushing down the linkables and the advanced multi-analyzers to speed through the research tree as soon as possible. We're not going to have that opportunity anymore. We have some control over it in that when we get partway through our research, we'll be told, hey, it's carpet making, it's guns, it's whatever. So there's a slight other layer of strategy to that we could cancel the research and try and go for something a bit better, roll the dice again, but of course you run the risk of missing out on that first bit of research that we potentially could have gotten. So there's going to be some strategy from that, but that's going to add a huge amount of difficulty to this, not being able to drive what we get. Secondly, we can only recruit either, or we can only build ourselves new androids to go with the colony, or we can recruit people who we convert into cybernetic being cyborgs. So we can do that in a couple of ways. There is obviously nerve stapling, which is included within the mod pack, and I've also given us access to that from the start of the scenario. I think we need a little bit more prerequisite research, but it should allow us to get to it easier when we do roll lucky on that. Then we've also got the cybernet and many different sort of cybernetics mod, which hopefully we'll be able to take a look at that we unfortunately haven't been able to see in previous series. So that's another way we've upped the difficulty there, that we're limited to those androids, or converting people, taking prisoners and running them through the system to actually convert them into drones in our big hive mind. Finally, and the thing I think that's going to give this series a lot of attention is the wave-based survival mod. So this is a mod which completely revolutionizes the difficulty system in Rimworld, so that you are essentially on a timer, which we have full knowledge of. It will actually keep track of it on the screen for us. We can see when that next raid is coming. We will have a good idea of when we need to be prepared by, when we need our defense by, when we need people healed by, or when operations need to be done by, things like that. It's going to add a huge amount of tension. I think it's going to add a huge amount of difficulty that we wouldn't normally have. You know, it's not just, oh no, 3 of our people have the flu or whatever. And especially if we're playing with robots, things like that aren't going to affect us too much. So hopefully all of these things are going to play together into what essentially equates to a constantly growing and evolving hive mind. So I think that's like your classic sci-fi sort of Borg, Cybermen, replicator style scenario, right? So this is going to be hopefully like nothing we've ever done before. Now, like I said, I have actually set up a very specific scenario for this one, so the wave-based survival mod comes with its own default scenario here. I honestly thought it was a little bit overpowered, but, you know, we want to be doing one of these more hardcore Rimworld survival series, perhaps somewhat akin to the original Jilt one, but maybe a little bit like the zombie one as well, in that there's constantly going to be this upcoming threat, but of course they are just your standard Rimworld raiders, really. They're going to turn up in potentially sieges or sappers or things like that, unlike the zombies, which were fairly passive for the most part. So as you can see here, I've adjusted that default scenario to give us access to androids, replacement part robotics, nerve stapling, and also batteries as well. Only because from playing the scenario a couple of times, just from testing, I've only played it for a couple of hours, really, this mod pack, just to get familiarized with it, and to get an idea for the balance especially. Not having batteries and not randomly unlocking batteries as we progress here can make things really difficult, because you're just relying on basically, you know, lots of power generators constantly being filled up, lots of wind turbines, and just hoping that you don't get power cuts using those. batteries just seem like a way to sort of guarantee a good status quo. Now, I've balanced that because we've got access to this earlier research. I've also found another way to balance that, which I'll talk about in a second. But this is going to be our starting scenario. As you can see, I've also removed some of the other additional bonuses. We're only starting with 4 items here versus the regular scenario that starts with a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So I've reduced some of what we start with. Now, the reason and how we're going to add some more difficulties, obviously we can pick the difficulty that we want here. I'm going to go on Savage because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like we're brave and we're powerful and we're prepared for this. We're not. We're going to die. And that's sort of another appeal of the series, I think, is when we die, we'll just start again. We'll learn, and we might get a different start. We might get lucky this time and end up with, you know, gun operations and powered armor, or we might get super unlucky and have to really fight for survival by ending up with things like beer brewing and carpet making, which, trust me, I've had scenarios like that before, and they are just really not fun here. So let's go for the legendary purple planet of our purple dreams. Ideally, we probably want somewhere, what are we thinking, mountainous, also by the coast, something like that. Chances are, if we are facing constant raids, we're not going to be leaving our base very often, because every person we send out of the base to explore the world is another person not at home defending things from the constant threat. So I'm thinking maybe somewhere over here, maybe along the mountains, along the coast. What about somewhere like this? 40 out of 60 days. Now, we are playing with, our starting scenario, as you'll see in a second, is going to be 1 robot, the Assimilator, the Hive Mind, and 2 drones that have already been assimilated into things. The drones are your sort of standard Rimworld pawns. They still need sleep and food and recreation. And the Hive Mind, though, is a tier 2 android added by the Androids mod, who is capable of just basically working around the clock. Now, I've limited him to only doing research, but we still need to consider food and temperature and you know, maybe even diseases if we decide to play in the tropical rainforest. Looking for somewhere where we can grow year-round. Hey, this is looking quite nice. Can we get a mountain by the coast, though? Look at this. We absolutely can. Year-round. Good rainfall. We've got, obviously, eastern coast and mountains there. The actual defense from this particular area would be massive. Yeah, I could do any of these, to be honest. As long as we haven't got any caves, because we've got certain mods that affect, you know, infestations, things like that, to add a little bit more difficulty. Now, caves are kind of lethal if we've got those on the map. Let's load into the preset, and I'll introduce you to my incredible crack squad of robots. So we have, like I said, Droid Zero here, our Assimilator, Bloodlust, Xenophobe, Great Memory. Thought it was appropriate. I've got a couple of extra little bonuses here for him. So we've got the Archotech upgrade there, the Mechanite storage, sorry. And then we've also got an overclocked Artificial Brain. Both those just give work speed, but at the cost of mental break risks. Now, this is going to add a lot of wealth to the colony, which in turn will add a lot of difficulties to the colony, especially playing on harder levels that scales higher. So, by having these people with implants and upgrades, it's going to be pretty tragic. But as you can see here, this guy is only going to be intellectual. Not very good at anything else. I don't even know why he's got points in social. Oh, apparently Assimilators start with points in social? What? Yeah, sure, why not? Organic beings are inferior, must be upgraded in order to contribute to the world. By the way, we also love talent stories. Really good in a social situation, great at parties, well that's good to hear. Then we have my incredibly well-named drone number 1, and brace yourself for this one, drone number 2, that's right. They are very, very similar, as you can see, because, you know, they're drones. They don't need to be individuals, they don't need to stand out, they just need a designation and that's it. So both of them are, as it says, they're Hive World drones, which I think actually might stop them from certain... Oh, no, I remember there was an issue before where I gave him a backstory that actually stopped them doing all jobs, which turns out made the game kind of difficult. So these guys, as you can tell, are fairly average, I'd say, Rimworld characters, maybe a little bit better than average. Drone 2 is better at construction and mining, Drone 1 is better at cooking and medical. So they're very, very similar. Implants, I've given a little bit of variation on. This one has a leg, this one has a bionic arm. They both have the exoskeleton armor, because these two, and obviously our Assimilator, are all capable of combat. But if I'm going to house rule it a little bit, if the Assimilator dies, we should just say the game is over there. You know, we failed. We've lost our Hive Mind. So I think if the Assimilator dies, we're gonna end the campaign. That will be our fail state, along with obviously being wiped out there. But our drones are going to be on the front line constantly. Only 2 people. Figured they needed something a little extra on. But again, that'll add more difficulty in the form of wealth to the colony. Now, we're starting with a very limited supply here. We've got some silver. Probably irrelevant because we're not going to be doing much trading. We've got 30 packaged survival meals, 10 medicine, 15 components, 5 repair kits, 100 steel, and 2 bolt action rifles. I believe these characters actually already start with some gear. Every time I've loaded in, they've just spawned in with some random weapons. I'm not entirely sure what's causing that, given that neither scenario or the equipment has that. But hey-ho, doesn't matter too much. Let's dive in. No more explaining. Time to die. I'm looking forward to this, and I think this is going to be a really fun little twist on Rimworld, because we can't metagame it like we used to. You know, I can't just go for, okay, let's go for hospitals and the best power armor and then all the research stuff, and then we've won, essentially. We can't do that anymore. This is going to be a lot more difficult. What type of map are we looking at? Oh, look at this for a defensible area, huh? Wow. So we've got big sort of plains, I say plains, just more open area up towards the top, but this zone... This could be very, very nice to play, and especially like this area over here. We've got one distinct choke point that is via this this valley here. They could potentially tunnel through, but we could turn this zone here into our base. Now, there's not much area for farming, but again, the android doesn't need to eat food, and we could use nutrient paste dispensers. That's another thing as well. This isn't going to be a time where we can build all those big vanity projects. We can't build any more Jade hotels, tragic as it is, I know. We'll have to spend all of our resources on war crimes, defenses, structures, embrasures, getting equipment and upgrades for our people as well. We haven't got time for luxury bedrooms or anything, so chances are we'll just be in a barracks, just eating nutrient paste and just surviving is the main point, hence the difficulty as well. There you go, Wave Survival mode is active. We haven't quite landed yet, so I think it still waits a little bit longer before it updates that. Cool, here we are. So where do we start then? That's a fantastic question. I have no idea. There's clearly an ancient danger right there. They're both limestone walls, and they are, I mean, yeah, this zone here is almost certainly an ancient danger, isn't it? Could crack that open, could make for an interesting little thing to see. So wave survival, and here we go. It's all just kicked off. We've got 5.2 days before our first wave turns up. Now, from playing a little bit after that, the waves are much, much faster. So 5.2 days to build your initial base, get yourself hunkered down, build some defenses if necessary, set up your research, obviously, is going to be fairly important here. After that, we're on our own. Then we get raids every 2 days. Now, the cool thing about this mod as well is we can get, if we build orbital trade beacons, or a little bit of the mod balancing, I assume, and this is part of the wave-based survival mod. If you've got an orbital trade beacon, you will get supplies occasionally in the form of guns, armor, supplies. It does say as well you can get people. From my couple of hours playing this mod pack, I haven't actually ever received any people. Again, we wouldn't be able to use them anyway unless we upgraded them into robots. Again, another little house rule there. So we've got to act fast. We've got to work very, very quickly. So I'm thinking we'll leave things paused while we plan out this base. Now, this area is absolutely the best way to go, right? Then we only have to worry about drop pods, but even then, it's such a weird little area of all different cut-off points, weird little terrains as well. We've got, like, mud and obviously these waters as well, which will slow them down. I like this area. I think this is perfect for our first little base. So before we do anything, jobs and schedules are going to be very, very high priority. What I'm actually going to do is just quickly go through every single job and drop it down to 0, mainly because we don't want them overlapping. We want people doing very specific jobs. You know, while one guy's off getting wood, we need another person using that wood to build, maybe even get the robot hauling it into position, the Hive Mind, taking it over to the delivery points, so that we can really, really min-max these first few days. Otherwise, we are going to be in a lot of trouble very quickly. So I'm thinking then, we obviously want our constructor. That's going to be the top priority here, is just basically getting an initial base built. I'm not sure about power yet. I'm not sure how we're going to handle power. We'll cross that hurdle when we get there. So I'm thinking right now, then, let's get our builder and building and construction set to top priority on drone number 2. Harvesting and growing, won't worry about it right now. I'll add that jobs when we've dealt with the initial base setup. In that case, we'll get the other 2 guys working on high priority delivery, and then we'll also get you working on high plant cutting. So you've got one person supplying the resources, one person building with it, the other robot will be delivering it. Good. I think that's fine. Then we'll also add a couple of points here to hauling, a couple of points to cleaning. I'm not going to worry about, you know, setting them super high priority right now. I'm also not going to worry about this too much. Doctor, let's only have drone 1 on doctoring. This is fine. We can have these high priority because I hope no one's going to die anytime soon. Bed rest hauling urgently, so we will have to manually designate that, so we don't mind setting that to top priority. Basic stuff, we'll leave that for the time being. Rearm, I should also really just automatically set that to top tier because we are going to be using so many turrets, I imagine. That I'm fine with. It seems very basic, but that's all we really want so that we can only focus on this base, and that would be able to tell if they've run out of jobs because they'll just go idle. So for work then, the Assimilator, our main drone, actually barely needs to rest. In fact, I don't think the androids need rest. It's only a tier 2 android, so it's not super, super OP. As you see here, if we compare drone 1 to our android, they actually don't have that rest bar. What else are they missing out there? Oh, is it just the rest bar? It is. They apparently still have a need for recreation, but I've never actually, in my couple of hours of play, ever needed to worry about that. I also don't know what they eat. I've never really considered that one either. Maybe they were just eating the survival meals without me noticing. But these guys can work around the clock, so let's go ahead and set that up. And then for our other 2 drones, because they are slightly mechanical already, they'll need less hours sleep. So I'm just going to say all of this can be working, then we'll give them like an hour of recreation. That might be okay. The ideal balance, I think, for the scenario would be just keep them very, very, very slightly above the minor break risk. Everything, I don't really care about them being constantly happy. I don't really care about inspirations or anything like that. They're going to be fighting on the front lines constantly. So, you know, worrying about mood management to that extent is kind of irrelevant. Let's get some guns then, boys. We got bolt action rifle. Oh, they didn't spawn with any weapons this time. That's good. Every other time I've played it, for some reason, they've spawned with weapons, and I have no idea why. Okay. Got some bolt action rifles set up. Let's then focus on building this base. I just wanted to make sure we got that in case of... It turns out other weird things can happen. You still get your psychic drones. You can still get your mad animals, things like that as well. So let's make sure they're equipped because I've had some embarrassing situations with that in the past. Okay, so I'm thinking... This area is quite nice for a sort of, I mean, this is nature's kill box, right? Just here. So why don't we build an embrasure right across the front of there as our immediate sort of, actually, it doesn't really give us much room to maneuver in, does it? What if we, so they're coming through there. Why don't we build the embrasure across there, remove this block here. So I'm also going to set mining to be slightly higher priority as well. We'll have you working on that for the time being. There we go. We'll take this block out. Then as the enemies come through here, we've got this natural corridor to shoot them to death in. We'll have to be very careful that we're not accidentally providing them cover, so I'll block over some of these as well. We'll hollow this out into a more natural kill box as we go, but for the time being, this works out very, very well for limiting their numbers quite heavily. So a basic structure then. I'm liking this zone. Maybe we could just roof over this. That could work quite well. I mean, it's obviously not going to look very nice, but it should work sort of for what we need it for an initial base. I'm genuinely just going to do that. I think that works out really, really well. Let's remove... Oh, shit. Sorry. Ignore roof areas on that one. And then just put down a kind of standard wall here. So we'll do something like... oh, come on. I'm trying to avoid these swamps as well. We'll do something like that. It's not ideal, obviously, walking straight through marshland into your house, but hey, never mind. They can't complain about that too much. We'll just bridge over it. It won't matter. Okay, so that's in there. Then we need to put down just a couple of beds. Again, I'm not going to worry about specific bedrooms or anything too much. I just want them to be kind of happy enough not to go berserk on us. So let's just put down a couple of very standard, very basic beds here. We'll put down a dresser, just give them a little bit more comfort, and then they can share an end table as well, because I'm a generous god, Leonidas. There you go. Then the important thing to get down basically as soon as possible, this should really be our first job, get down a research bench so that Robot Zero has something to do. We can really get an early start on some of the essential research, so I'm going to stick that there. And then for our stockpile zone, we'll just put in this building roughly somewhere. I do want to build over this as well, because that's a little bit worrying where it is. You know, just for sappers, things like that. We'll stick that down to start with. That's fine. I'll just allow all there for the time being until we get our nutrient paste dispenser, whatever else set up, which we can do in this area, I guess, and vent it straight outside. All right. In that case, let's forbid those for the time being, because they're luxury items as far as I'm concerned. Research bench, walls, that's fine. And then obviously we've got a stockpile too. Now we could also designate these ship chunks to be taken apart straight away, but I don't think we'll worry about that too much. Let's get to work, team. Oh, a masonry material trader. So one thing we probably want to do as the robots for the time being, until we get ourselves set up, we might want to do some training, but in the future when caravans turn up, I think we'll just kill them dead, because they are filthy humans and they must be purged. I guess we'll also have to put down a couple of structure blocks here as well, so I'm just going to do this very roughly to start off with, and we can sort of work out the specifics later on. Okay, let's also get the trees in the base chopped down as soon as possible, so that actually might be enough wood just to get these few sort of very basic structures set up and ready. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. And let's also get down I was going to say a door on the entrance, but we actually don't really want that, do we? We also might want to build a big sort of labyrinth area down here, too, to slow the enemy down quite a lot. We're going to have to employ traps, I think, quite a lot as well this series. I don't really like using them too much because they're kind of a pain in the ass in terms of micromanagement. Do something like that. That way they're coming through a single block. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm going to focus so much on the defenses this time around. It's not really something I would prioritize early on. I'm kind of happy to take the first original raids, and normally they're not too difficult. But in this, playing on the difficulty level we are as well, I think we could be in for some trouble here. So 4.9 days. Oh, we need to build a trade beacon as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're basically missing out on supplies. The waves will come regardless of whether or not we've got one built. I am looking for, if you don't mind, what is it? Misk? Where is it? Misk? It's all moved around from last series. It's gonna affect my brain for a bit, I think. Let's just put that down over there. That's fine. That's actually probably a little bit ridiculous putting it there. Let's bring it closer to the front door in hindsight. Right, there we go. Put that there. Actually, this is a great area to build a wind turbine on. I didn't even think about that aspect of things, but this is pretty good. Yeah, we can put it, I mean, literally right there. That's almost the perfect area for it. That way we're not losing too much ground there. We don't have to invest too many resources running massive power cables or anything else. There we go. And then we can also build right behind it the nutrient paste dispenser, because coolers obviously don't interrupt wind turbine areas or anything like that. So let's go for, how do you want to plan this out? Well, a sort of little chamber, so I'm thinking if we go production, I'm just worried about the marsh as well, trying to fit all this into a tiny little area just to conserve as much energy as possible, save on power conduits, things like that. Where is nutrient paste dispenser? There it is. I never build these things, so I'm so not used to them. All right. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, no, there's no way we can build that over there, is there? All right. We'll put it in this zone then. I mean, that kind of works. It's a little bit annoying putting it there, but that's not a problem. Or to be fair, we could vent this out. We don't need this to be part of the base. You know, we could build another wall across there and then just vent the heat from the nutrient paste dispenser just back outdoors. That kind of works. We'll do something like that. We'll take that block away. Yeah, in hindsight, something like that is a little bit better, huh? So we've got that we've got that sort of tiered entrance system as well, just in case we do end up losing control of the front embrasure. We can fall back into the base and shoot them as they come through the front door. Okay, so that works out as well, because then we can build another slight little area here for depositing crops and whatnot. So let's go. So it counts a natural wall anyway, doesn't it? So we could do something a little bit akin to that. That should be able to hold the heat. And then we'll get our cooler sort of put around here somewhere as well. So let's go temperature cooler. Do we have overworld coolers? I guess I haven't got that mod. It doesn't matter. I've designed this to be kind of a much smaller footprint mod pack, because it was, that last mod pack was getting so laggy and so crashy towards the end of it. This one still has a lot to see, like a huge amount to see. In fact, I'll open up the research menu and you can see that we've got so many different mods. Cybernetic coordinates. I don't know what any of this stuff is. My God, look at it. 60,000 points? I hope we don't end up randomly rolling one of those. But we've got androids, Rimatomics, of course, is another big one. Rimmerfellow, which is part of the Rimatomics sort of mod collection. Same author, but I've never really touched on that one before, ever. All different types of furniture, vegetable garden, linkables, questionable ethics is in there too. And there's obviously nerve stapling we've got in advance there. Research requires... Oh, prosthetics. So we only need to get prosthetics. Then we can create a high-cost brain implant and machining table. So we'd also need machining. And then it can turn, look at that, into an unruly prisoner into a willing slave. Considered atrocious by many civilized societies. Yeah, we're not worried about what they think, really. So this is there's a lot to see, as you can tell. So it's still quite a dense mod pack, but it's kind of themed this time around, rather than just being everything. We've got all sorts of cybernetics and war crimes and such. And the final thing as well is we need ourselves a hopper very quickly. So let's put that, obviously in this room so that we can refrigerate. We'll also use that as a small stockpile, I guess, for excess food so we can quickly fill up the hopper. So let's go critical clear all and only put foods in there. Corpses we won't worry about. We might never need to worry about it, especially if we're only going to rely on farms and crops. I don't think we'll have time to leave the base to be out there butchering or hunting, especially if the butchering or hunting goes wrong and the animals well, obviously not when you're butchering, then they're probably dead at that stage. But the hunting, if it backfires and, you know, we have animals attacking us, if we get desperate or something like that, that could be a problem, especially if we've only got a couple of people ready for fighting off raids. Okay, nice work. That's the power grid online, and that's going to be an uninterrupted wind turbine as well for the most part. Got a battery set up, so let's run a power conduit over there. That's hooked up to the battery, so all we need to do at that stage is run basically a big cable up into this area. In fact, if we run into this wall, that should be enough to cover both of those, right? In fact, we might not even need to run it that far, but I'll do it just for posterity's sake. Okay, so let's get down a little bit of structure here too. So let's get down a door on the front entrance to the base. That's pretty good. Hey, I'm pretty happy with this base. It's a bit shitty to start off with, I will admit, but that's fine nonetheless. And then we'll set our robot off researching immediately. So he'll deliver as a priority, but I'll take him off of that in a second, because otherwise he'll be up all night. Now that the power's dealt with, we're just waiting on someone to finish building that. In fact, do you guys want to... Should we just force him away? Hey, do you guys want to come and finish this off as well? There's a couple of mods that I have missed. So Actung is going to be reinstalled and added to this mod pack. We can add that fairly safely. Now, what I'm also going to do for those guys of you who want to play along with this, and I'm going to add a couple of other little changes as well that I've completely forgotten about. There's a couple of other changes I'm going to add, but if you guys want to play along as well, at the end of the video, I'll do a full install guide for this mod pack as well. In the description will be all the credited mods by the mod authors. There'll be a Steam Workshop collection. I'll also provide a mod manager load order file and a guide at the end of this video so that you guys can play along if you want to give your own little robot colony a try. I won't bother providing the scenario because it's barely any different. You could play your own wave-based one. I mean, I could if people really want it, but it's really not too relevant there. Okay, let's keep you awake. I don't have Actum, which I'm realizing now is a massive mistake. I didn't install it because it just makes things a little bit easier, in my opinion, or prevents you having to do so much micromanagement. But to be honest, now that I think about it, we can do a lot of it paused anyway. So there we go. Our battery's going. We've got our orbital trade beacon, so we're expecting resupplies and things. Those can be, like I said, in the form of weapons, armor. Are we wearing... I mean, these characters were just sort of default characters. They do have flight vests. That's pretty good. Flatbed dusters. I think they were just the default man in black that, obviously, I gave a couple of implants to here and there. That's cool. Should we get these beds built, seeing as they are literally lying on the floor right now? Here you go. Aha, there we go. What do we get? Oh, that was a lot of stuff. Wow. Plasteel gold. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a lot of stuff. Supply incoming. It might not seem like much right now, but that's what we need for the multi-analyzer, huh? That was a pretty good little supply. I've never seen one. Honestly, when I was playing earlier, the supply drops I always thought were pretty crap. Like, my first supply drop in one of my previous campaigns was just some stone blocks. So this is very nice to see. Some resources to actually build stronger embrasures out, for example. They have also sent us a combat handgun. The plasteel and the gold is very, very nice for an early game multi-analyzer too, huh? I wonder what determines what they send in the supply drops. I actually have no idea. We also need, funnily enough, a door on that one. Otherwise, that cooler not already running at a super high efficiency, huh? There we go. So that now, if we drop it down to -9, should start cooling that room. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So we've got our food kind of dealt with for the time being. We do need to obviously plant some crops. I haven't really thought this through. So we can only use this small area for crops unless I take this room away. Which, to be honest, I'm not really... Oh, no, this is all marshland. No, we can't plant there. Okay, we've got the world's tiniest little garden here for crops, which I didn't really think about, but to be honest, it's very well defended. We might not need that much rice anyway, so I'm just going to have them growing rice forever. We don't have tilled soil or anything. I specifically avoided a lot of the, what you would consider easier mods, you know, like the ship chunks, the additional ship chunks mod has been removed, the tilled soil, I've just noticed they're idle there, the realistic rooms, just a lot of various normal mods I would include in a pack I've taken out specifically, so it's obviously a lot harder here. Alright, why are you guys idle? Did I not say... Oh, I remember, I said... Quite literally at the start of this episode, let's not bother with harvesting and growing into it, and we'll cross it early when we get there. Well, we're at the hurdle, so I might drop these down to, what do you think, tier 2? Level 2? No, we don't want mining to come before harvesting and growing, do we? Those, if anything, should be one of our top priority jobs. That's okay. So if drone 1... So drone 1 will always harvest and grow before anything else, and if drone 2 has no building work to do, which I think is going to be a bit more essential, especially repair as well, to be able to repair those embrasures and whatnot. There we go. Okay, so you guys go and get to work. We might also want to build a slight bridge over that so they're not so slow going over there. How are we doing in the research then? This seems to be quite a big research he's going for. Wow, that seems to be taking a very, very long time. Oh, it's probably because he's also in the dark. I didn't really think that one through, did I? There you go. You're welcome, little Hive Mind friend. How are we looking now? No, it's still taking quite a while. This looks like it could be some more of a complex research. We can sort of guess, depending on the speed of, obviously, how well it's going here. So anything that is possible to research, we could potentially be researching right now. Could end up being geothermal power. It could end up being flak armor. I mean, mortars would be pretty incredible. Mortars would be incredibly good. Sentry guns. We don't have machining yet, though, do we? Oh, we do have machining, right, because we're starting with your sort of standard Rimworld scenario here. We're not playing tribal or anything like that, because tribal androids don't really go well together. We could have ended up with something kind of garbage, like, honestly, psychoid brewing. Beer brewing is pretty bad. My last playthrough I did of this, I had drug production pretty early on, which was quite nice. What did you just get then? Was that just sandstone blocks? Are you kidding me? Yeah, so that one was a bit of a miss. That one was a bit crappy. The first one was very, very good because it sets up quite nicely from Royalty Analyzer. I've never seen one that good before. As you can see, that second one, kind of garbage, I will admit. Not really any use whatsoever. Is this all roofed over now? It counts as indoors. Yeah, nice, nice, nice. So we probably want to build up this base sort of piece by piece here. So the robot doesn't need to sleep. So why don't we turn this into a sort of living dining area to start off with? There we go. Put down a little table. We do need to worry about their comfort a little bit. Again, I just want to keep them so that they're not going on complete mental breakdown all the time. And I think our drones will have to earn their names as they go through here. So when they do something particularly heroic, you know, when they do something that sets them out above the rest of the crowd, then they can earn themselves a little bit of a name. But for the time being, they're just going to be referred to as 1 and 2. You know what? You are slowly losing your name, my friend. You've just lost points for that one, because that was not a very intelligent thing to do at all. Okay, there we go. So we've got ourselves a little bit of a sort of standard area here. We probably want to replace the floor at some stage. Add a couple of extra lights to this as well. What is that? Parquet herringbone. Me too. Does it give any beauty bonuses? No. This one give any beauty bonuses? Does standard wooden floors not give beauty bonuses? Am I going crazy here? They actually don't. Okay, I guess it's a step up from concrete and the stuff, though. Fine, alright. What about the silver, though? We've got a decent amount of silver, right? 853 silver, and there's nothing we can do with it. Put down some silver floors. What do you think? Nice little, nice little silver lab for our robot. That does give a, research bonus, doesn't it? Honestly, we haven't really got that much to worry about it right now. Do you even want to worry about wooden floors? What can we do at this stage? I suppose we can start working on a kill box, right? Because there's nothing else really to do in terms of the base's luxuries besides putting out maybe a dresser to keep them kind of happy. Despite that, though, I mean, we're waiting on the food to be to grow. We can go and get some berry bushes, but we've got plenty of packaged survival meals, so we don't have to worry about food immediately. Besides that, yeah, I'm pretty happy to start mining up various resources. Now, we do have the quarry mod, but I've nerfed it into the ground. Towards the end of the episode, I'll show off some of the mod settings I've also changed as well for this playthrough. So if you want to match me precisely, then you can follow along that if you're interested. The quarry, I'm going to be honest, is very useless this time around by design. I don't want it to be the super OP quarry that we've had in the past, just piling resource after resource when we haven't got anything else to do. I want mining to be, you know, particularly strip mining, deep drilling, to be the things that we have to do here. So why don't we... There's plenty of steel up there we could go and designate to start off with. How are we doing for steel already? To be fair, we've already got plenty of steel. I cancel these sort of starting designations so we can always open that back up later if we need to. What do we want to build? It's hard to know what to prioritize here. I do think a kill box is the... Not necessarily a kill box, but a labyrinth to get to the base would be a good first thing to do. Fill it with traps and other things. So if we dig out sort of this major area... do something like that and give ourselves like a natural facade or a semi-natural facade. Dig this up as well. Let's try and smooth this off somewhat also. Yeah, I think this could work. I think this could work. And I do want to use traps quite heavily. You know, the trap door system that we've used previously, that works out super, super well. So if we can do something like that this time, oh god, this day scared the life out of me. We've got 2.7 days. Need colonist beds? Oh, because right, the robot doesn't have a bed. Well, the robot doesn't really need a bed, so that's irrelevant. Mine for me, little drones. Mine for your hive mind or sleep. Who's this idiot? Pan Sunbin. What? I mean, we can see what he's got to trade. We've got, I mean, the silver's going to be relatively useless as we go forward here, besides trade ships, which even then doesn't really seem on brand. What have you got for me? Carbine. Yeah, I think that would be an upgrade. We can afford it. We could buy more medicine. It's not bad. Potassium iodide, some sort of antiseptic, I would assume. Radioiodine uptake. Oh, it's for radiation. We won't worry about that one either. Yeah, I don't know that any of these are particularly useful. I'm interested in your carbine, though. Like an automatic weapon rather than a bolt-action rifle seems like a pretty big early-game upgrade. Yeah, give me that. Who's our best shooter? They are technically drone to by a tiny little margin there. There you go. And then our androids also got a weapon as well. Our hive mind there, just in case they do somehow happen to break the base walls down. Supplies, and that looks like a hell of a lot of supplies unless they just drop steel slag or something. The question is, what are we going to call our colony? Honestly, I have no idea, so I'm going to leave it up to you guys to help me christen this place. I'll pick whatever is the most upvoted comment, or I'll pick whatever seems to be thematic or my favorite. I don't know. I'll decide as and when we see it, but I'll probably pick whatever is the most upvoted here if you've got something on brand for this one. I'm looking forward to this series. I think we are basically from the get-go, just thematically, we're ready for some war crimes because we have to assimilate people to bring them into our colony. We are going to be dedicated xenophobic exterminators, and that seems absolutely on brand here. And we've got the random research, so we kind of have to explore whatever advantage we're given. This is going to be massive. This is going to be something really weird. I think it's going to probably take a few episodes, maybe even a couple of attempts to get into things to understand the mechanics behind it. And the difficulty also might be a little bit too high. I did in my testing go this high. I went the difficulty before it, so it's going to be fairly interesting. Thank you all for watching. What a weird mod pack. So I will give a quick shout out to the patrons for their support, and then after that, after this point, I will go ahead and give you your install guide as well. I'll tap that on as a little bit. I'll add it onto the end, so I need to do some planning for that one. But in the meantime, let's give a thank you to the patrons who made this series possible. If you guys would like to name a drone after yourself, feel free to send me some names over on Discord, and I'll put them into the drone naming list so that when they earn a name, we could watch our glorious patrons die a horrible death in honor of their hive mind. Big thanks to Alchemia, Anthony Gully, Asuna Kirito, Ant Moses, Average Gamer 419, Bacon Kitten, Ben Hoffland, Chesty, Croesus, Donald, Dylan of Gondolin, Fakuna Vasquez, Gogolus, Harik, Harry McGowan, Iguana Squad, James Shea, Jonah Water, Justin Wallace, Kernan Carter, Michael Mullen, Muskratful, Norstrus, Necrophilant, Pelvis Presley, Rodin, Scott, Skaz, Smegmatane, Somnus, Shea, Teabag Cruz, Tom Terry 18, Tyler Kendall, Tyler McClam, Vacuous Backers, Varagon, William Green, and Zazzy7011. Thank you all for your support at the insane tier levels on Patreon. Thank you for making the channel possible. I hope you guys like this idea. I really do. I think I'm a big fan of it. I'm a little apprehensive for how these first couple of episodes are going to fall out, because I think I might have bitten off a little more than I can chew in terms of the difficulties, so we might have to do some retroactive balancing at some stage as well. And of course, a thank you to the other patrons, including Uwu Daddy, Astro, Adam Person, Andrew Walsh, Andrew Wilson, Anchor, Attila, Austin Taylor, Betimus Max, Better Valyrian, Black Double H, Blood for the Blood God, Buen Gun, Chris, Corgi Circus, David Van Diepen, Don, Dunk Huntington with 7, Emerald Beam, Foosh, Gabriel Van Ders, Gaz, Genji Zerka, Gothamo, Grey, Haji Dumar, I Am Sagater, Icy the Great, Jackson P, Jay Lera, Jacob Wolfie, Jose, Jeepers Crust, Euron DeVries, Job's Lucky Sister Jilly Hondel, Joseph Beard, Justin Plock, Justin Rules, Justin Walters, Luan Thomas, Luke Wallace, Manuel Boschich, Mustolp, Monty, Mosi Sampson, My Name Isn't Dio, Nathan Flores, Nathaniel Lindbergh, Nick, Noah Gallimore, Organized Confusion, Pan Samu, Pantherpearl, Peyton Denisar, Russian Oligarch, Billionaire, Ryan Hooper, Sam Kears, Shardul, Smirtworm, Smooth Octopus, Socrates, Super Nanny 089, Sweet Tea, Talar, The One Ring, Voodoo Mumbo, Void Prince Kibo, Will Wade, Wilson Atef, Wolfie, Yellow Ford, Yorker, Zach, and Zico 2. Thank you guys all for your support on Patreon as well. Stay tuned for the mod list and load order guides. This next section is for people who want to also play along with the mod pack, who need help with the installation of this. What I'm going to do here, if you follow it exactly as I do it, it will talk you completely from a fresh copy of Rimworld. All you need to do before this stage is to have subscribed to the Steam Workshop collection linked below the video. That is all you need to start off with here, and then I'll talk you through the rest of it in a second. So this is a complete fresh copy of Rimworld. As you can see, I have no mods enabled yet, just the mods available with the Steam Workshop collection. One extra that I was testing out that just changed animal levels. Don't worry about that one too much. So you need to enable the Mod Manager mod, which good luck finding it among this list. There it is. Enable this Mod Manager, close the screen, it'll say it needs to restart. Let it restart. This will enable the Mod Manager, which which will do all of the rest of the work for you, okay? Can't stress that enough. You need to have this enabled first. You'll know it's working because it will look like this instead. Your mods in the sidebar will be alphabetical order. This one, you will only have core and mod manager. Next step, you'll have to download the mod manager load order to tell the mod manager what load order to load these mods in. Otherwise, certain mods will load in the wrong way. You might get things conflicting with one another. You might not get the core mods that other mods rely on loaded properly. Don't worry about it too much. If that doesn't make sense to you don't need to worry about that. Just trying to explain what this is doing. So in the link below will be, in the description below will be a link to a Mediafire page. That will look a little something like this. As you can see there, it's called simply Assimilators. It's a .xml file. Download that file from Mediafire, and that'll be added to your downloads folder, which is, right on this other screen right here. Boom, there it is. There it is. That's all you need, just that one file, and this will tell the load order how correctly to install these things. So you need to access the folder that the mod manager reads from. This is fairly straightforward to do. This is my recordings folder. Don't worry if you don't have these files. I hope you don't have. So in this top bar, you want to type in %, and then there's a couple of ways to do this. The easiest way is to go app data %. Enter that, and it will take you to, it's a hidden folder on your hard drive, so you won't be able to find it going through your usual things, but this is where Rimworld stores some of its secret files that it doesn't want you to touch so you don't break things. Then go back a folder. So what I did there, you see we're in the roaming folder right now, that's this one. We need to go to a different folder in the same hidden directory, so this is just the quickest way to do it. I'm going to click on the app data. That's going to take us back to local, local low, and roaming. The files we need to access are in local low. So open this folder up. There is Ludion Studios, which are the people who make Rimworld. As you can see in the top bar, it says Rimworld by Ludion Studios. Open this folder up, go into the Rimworld by Ludion Studios folder, and this, as you can see there, if you're in the right place, you'll see something called mod lists. Now in here, yours will be blank. Take the file you just downloaded from your downloads folder, drop it into there. And that is it. You don't need to do anything else. Very, very simple. Very, very simple and straightforward. Again, to get to that folder, it's %, appdata %. Go back to appdata, local low, Ludion Studios, Rimworld, mod lists. Very straightforward. Copy the file in there, and then you are done. And the way to know that you're done is if you go back into game now, press this little save icon down here, or this little file icon, I suppose it's supposed to be. Then you should have an option that says Assimilators. Press that button there, and then click the Load Mod List button that will pop up after that. That will then put all of the mods in what is basically the right order. There might be some other little changes that need to be done here and there that I'll tweak as I go, but for the most part, I'm not getting any errors with it in this right order, and everything's loaded correctly in this order. So as far as I'm concerned, that's good enough for me, and it's hopefully good enough for you. If you want to tweak it and obviously move things around, maybe you know better than me. I don't know. I'm not an expert with Rimworld mod load order. Once you've done that, extended storage isn't part of the mod pack. It just won't disappear. Despite the fact I've tried deleting it many times, it's just sticking around. Don't worry about that. That's not supposed to be there. It just won't go away. After you've done that, you need to close the mod manager. It will say it has one issue because cleaning area is out of date. The mod maker for cleaning area doesn't want to update it because as far as he's concerned, it works fine, which is fair enough, I guess. It just throws this warning every time. Just confirm it. Then it'll say the mod list has changed. Game will restart automatically. Hit OK. That's it. Literally all there is to it. That is now your Rimworld with the same mod order as me, all matched together. Hopefully, that will tell you everything you need to know. If you miss something, if it doesn't work, I don't know what else to tell you, because that is all there is to it. I mean, there's nothing else you can do. You're just moving a file into the mod list folder, and then it will load it in for you. So, if you do need any more help for whatever reason, join the Discord, get into the public channel. I mean, you can DM me, but I'd never check my DMs because I get them frequently, and I only ever open that account in my other browser, so don't worry about it. But stick it in the public chat. I'll be able to check there, and I'll keep. I have that set to notify, so there's probably a quicker way to get hold of me rather than DMing me, to be honest. I'll be in there. I'll try and help you out. Other people might be able to help you out as well. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as you follow this as I've done it here, as you can see, from scratch, it has worked fine. It will take a little while to load the first time because obviously you're initializing all the mods for the first time around. After that, that's it. You're ready to go. So good luck. Hopefully that's straightforward enough. I've done guides simpler than this in the past and people still haven't been able to follow them. So good luck to me as well as going to be doing tech support for the next week. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully this was good enough to sort you guys through it. Again, any other issues, take it to Discord and we'll see what we can do with you there. Have fun with the pack and hope you guys again enjoy this series.